This meeting will be held in person. It can also be viewed on local cable channel 1303 or on the internet by accessing bucksportmaine.gov and selecting agenda and minutes and choosing this meeting and clicking on the video button next to the meeting. Questions or comments may be submitted prior to or during the meeting by emailing rich.rotella@bucksportmaine.gov or during the meeting by calling 307-8030. Roll call.
Mark Eastman,
Here.
Paul Gobbin,
Here.
Steve Bishop,
Here.
Josh Tripp,
Here.
Dick Peterson,
Here.
Joe DeBonzo,
Yep.
Ron Russell,
Here.
John Paul Lalonde,
Here.
and Larry Wallace absent.
Next item is approved minutes from the November 2024 meeting. Did everybody get a chance to look at them? Are there any questions?
Just one question. You were talking about last month's meeting, right? The agenda?
The minutes from last
The
month's
minutes.
meeting.
So when, blah, 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 we made a motion to the council, to recommend to the town council to decorate Main Street during the month of October. You meant for the whole month, when the lady was talking about putting up the corn stalks for the whole month of October, not, okay, just wanted to make sure that that's what it meant. It wasn't just decorated for one day, it was for the whole month you wanted, okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, I wasn't here, but I did have one question. Rich, I had submitted something to you that, about just a report on in the whale. It wasn't in the minutes. I was just wondering if you forgot to present it or just didn't include it in the minutes.
No, it was under item number 4, review funding request approved by the CED director, 112.
Oh, there you go. All
Yeah.
right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Got a motion, Dan?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes?
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Motion passes. Item 3, discussion of 2024 measures of growth report. Rich?
So you have the report in your packet. It's 48 pages long. In your packet, it's double-sided. And I received a phone call today from one of the members asking for a little bit more specific to the Tri-County area of Hancock, Waldo, Penobscot. So I reached out to Representative Bishop, and he was able to forward to me the state of the state economy that was presented on December 5th, so I've added that to your packet. Now, you did not have that prior to this meeting. I was on the road getting back here for this as well, so that's another 50-page document as well. And there is some county data that is in there. And there's some year-over-year information via county as well. So one of the ones I turned to on page 10 in that second report was the percent of households unable to afford the median home in 2020, and that's by county. And then the report also goes over 21, 22, and 23. That was one of, and that is in the state of the state economy packet. So not everything's broken out by county, but there's a lot of more good data that comes out of this second report that you do now have at your hands.
Thank you.
Any questions for Rich?
I have a question, but it's not for Rich, and I don't want to put Josh on the spot, but in the 4th and 8th grade here in Bucksport, how are we doing compared to what we see in this report?
Which page are you on there?
Well, it's the 4th grade and the 8th grade shows percentage.
24.
24.
Yeah.
Of the first report,
And
correct.
again, if you don't have that information, don't feel like, oh my gosh, you've got to come up with something. It was just, as I was going through the whole report, I reached out to Rich earlier on trying to get more information for the county, and I haven't had a chance to look at what he did get. It would be nice to know just how our 4th and 8th grade are kind of doing here. That was all. That was.
Yep. So I don't have the exact data for those specific grades on hand. I do know that we got ours. Mrs. Hall, our curriculum coordinator, did a data presentation to the board 2 months ago. And I will say that, if you go to I believe our 8th grade one was below, but not drastically below in math, but just above in reading. And again, I don't wanna specifically quote,
Oh,
because I
no,
don't
no.
maybe get these ones, but we're not far off the state average. We have cohorts that will be a little bit below or a little bit above, which is pretty typical, especially for a school our size, because it doesn't take a lot of students when you only have 80 per class, right? So you get some variety, between the 2
Well,
years, but.
I would think that COVID probably played a big role in the drop in these.
And if you think of our 4th graders, and in particular this group, that's gonna be the group that was in kindergarten, 1st grade, so your real formative years, you do see a big drop. Now, granted, everybody was in that same boat,
Yes.
and not just us, so you'll see that. You will see our numbers were really good at the high schools. When you get to the 9th, which aren't reflected in this data, we were up much above the state average. So we have identified growth areas, and that we will continue to.
Yeah, thanks, Josh, I
You're welcome.
appreciate the
I'm
information.
sorry, I wish I had the exact stuff on.
No, that's fine. I just felt with the pandemic and all, and the numbers that we're seeing here, how do we really read them in our community?
Yeah, again, I think you'll see us pretty much right there, again, with some variations a little bit beforehand. But I'm more than happy to send that information on to the committee if they'd like it, so they can compare.
Thank you.
That'd be great, thank you. Any other questions about the report from anyone?
And Representative Russell had mentioned this back last year. This report does come out. This year was the 30th annual for this report through the state. And Bucksport was featured on page 21. So I think I did that interview back in either late spring or early summer. So of course it does come out till the report comes out, and then NPDN picked it up, Spectrum News picked it up. So that's why you're starting to see a little bit of this. And again, this is back to a conversation we had about 6 months ago.
When did this report itself come up?
When you got it, I had gotten it maybe 5 minutes before. As soon as I got it, I sent it out. Because this is a report that I think is very important for the community, because there's things like, when people say it's hard to do business in the state of Maine, what they look at taxes, they look at utilities, they look at housing, and all of those continue to be a burden. Matter of fact, cost of utilities and electricity was up 13%.
13%, which
Yeah.
is ridiculous for industrial, as far as households. Even the fact that the income within Hancock is pretty good, according to their graph, yet 79% can't afford a medium grade home, because of the value of homes now have become an investment opportunity as opposed to a place to live in, and the houses go up very, very fast. So you raise the income and they raise the houses, and you're still stuck in the same spot.
And remember, when you're talking about Hancock County, you have a lot of coastal communities that are
Exactly.
second homes. You talk Castine, Blue
Yeah.
Hill,
Yeah.
Southwest Harbor, Northeast Harbor, so, yeah.
All right, item 4, discussion of 2025 goal setting for community and economic development.
We have not done this before. So typically, if we're gonna look at anything, we look at any of the previous reports that were generated, some of the planning grants. Now, remember, a lot of those planning grants are getting up to almost 8 years old now. The first ones that we started with, a lot of things have changed. So I didn't know if we wanted to start the discussion tonight and then work towards it in the new year when we have the new council members to the committee or the same. But I think it would be something good for the committee to do, because our mission has changed a little bit with the money that's been added now for the different community groups. So I'll leave it up to the committee on what you'd like to do with the goal setting for this year.
And we're not gonna have a meeting in January, because committees won't be set till the end of January, so it might not be a bad idea to start on this now and then, or at least review it and then come back in February.
Yeah, if everybody just kept track of what they wanted for over the next couple of months, give it some thought, write it down.
Yeah.
bring it in for us to discuss.
Yeah, or submit it to Rich, either way.
Even,
I'll be right, I'm thinking.
For the goal setting for the community, one of the things I was looking at, and I told Rich was, and I was not aware of this, when we got into power, electrical power. And one of the things I found out was our plant over here is really the fourth highest in producing power in the state. I did not realize that. Okay? And the one, number one, which is a petroleum base, ours is natural gas. Petroleum base is not used often at all now. And that's why on the front of the energy, it says only 6%, 0.6% on petroleum, because it's only turned on if needed. Other than that, they keep that off, and that's in Wyman, and that's 846 megawatts. Whereas you get up to the gas, and the gas is the ones that are really running the state. Bucksport is really number 5 as far as size goes, but number 4 in generation all the time. And I didn't know that, and I thought, well, that's kind of like important. And we get into the hydro, and hydro's really kind of low. We get into wind, and wind is pretty high, 21%. Natural gas is at 29. Solar's still way down. But as I was looking at it, I said, well, our community has one of the best power stations in the state. And how do we utilize that? Is there something else we can be doing with goal setting? Knowing that we have an infrastructure here that can expand.
Well, I think that grant that Rich is working on now kind of speaks to that.
Yes, exactly. Rich and I talked a little bit today. And the man is just always going, as you know. You know?
What period of time is that power generation accounting for?
This one here, 2023. Yep, I had the same question when I started reading it and making sure, and I looked at a couple of different sources. So, you get all the hydro in the report, you get everything. It's really kind of cool, the report that's out there under Wikipedia.
Yeah, but here's the deal why in the state of Maine.
Paul, can you come up to the, please?
Here's the deal why in the state of Maine for electricity. Down here you have, I believe it's 186 megawatts that
Yes.
can come online basically in 15 minutes as a simple cycle unit. But around the state of Maine, the nuclear power plant is gone, Cousins Island is gone. All of these plants are disappearing. Same thing in Massachusetts. Brayton Point, big 4 units down there, that's all landfill now, that type of thing. And I hear what you're saying about planning for the future, but one of the things you have to take into consideration is there are plans unknown to us going on at the power station now, whether they double it, whether they go to battery operated, battery storage, et cetera. So I think some of your planning around that power plant might be a little premature till they announce, some of their plans.
Well, you're very knowledgeable, because those are some of the things that Rich and I talked about today. The battery backup and stuff, like up in Lincoln where they're gonna put in, I believe, the battery backup. Because as you know, solar is great during the day, not so well at night. And so I noticed that down in the Wyman station down in Cumberland County, they have a 16.2 megawatt battery storage capacity already in place down there, okay?
Yeah, it's not gonna create a lot of jobs here in the town of Bucksport, but it's gonna be a very significant investment, whatever they.
Right, and if we
Whatever
can
they
build
decide,
whatever
yeah.
we're gonna build to the future, that's really, I was talking to Rich today about being 50 years out, trying to look at this and trying to look way out, and what are we gonna do here for our community, looking ahead. So that was all in the discussion, and I'm glad to see the goal setting was put in there, because we're an economic committee. We're supposed to be trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. So, there you go. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I think some of the things you'd want to look at is, as Dick mentioned, when you're looking at the mill site or any of the Sprague North property, what's the goal there? What's the number one top priority? Is it tax revenue? Is it job? Is it transportation? What are we trying to define and go from there? Some of that's pointed out in the 2017 comprehensive plan. But again, now we're at 8 years and got to get started on within the next 2 years, getting started with a new comprehensive plan, because it's supposed to be updated every 10 years.
I understand the property, but what people have to remember is we can't dictate what people do with their property, right? So we have a nice empty whole oceans I hate bringing that word up, but sitting down there and they still own it, right? So as long as they own it, and we can't make them grow a fish. They own it. So we can have all kinds of ideas what we want here. We can try to talk people into it, but I just don't want us to get great hopes that, I mean, there's gonna be a skyscraper down there, but, and I think some people forget that in town, that we can't make them build it. We can have all kinds of ideas, and I'd love to see everything built that, you know, we get huge, because we have a great waterfront, we have the river, and it's so beautiful down there. And I hate every time I drive in and out, and it's just this big field.
Yeah.
And it'd be great if it'd be one big power plant. That'd be
Well,
awesome.
well-
I love your idea.
Well, it isn't just that.
Power is everything.
Yeah, it
You know,
isn't just
I mean,
that.
it
We
is.
have the infrastructure
We
that's
have it, it's
here.
here.
And we have the industrial park that we want to expand.
Right.
But we have something here that can be expanded.
Sure.
So that's
totally
really
agree.
that's something that I did not take into account until I started really looking into it. And I thought, well, maybe others would like to know and
Yeah,
kind of go from
a
there.
lot of people don't realize how much we really have.
Yes.
And no one ever did, because we just had the mill. We had the mill sitting down there, so that's all we needed. That's all we had. And that's all people cared about, right? We had paper running out of there every day. We had people were happy, and but so no one ever thought of anything else that we had here. And it's hard to get people to think about other things, and it might take longer than any of us will be here for it too.
That's
but
why I said 50
hate
years.
saying that, but
Yeah.
it's terrible to think that's been gone for 10 years, but it's hard.
So I have something I think we can think about. Because of the election changes, Senator Collins is probably most likely gonna be the chair of the Appropriations Committee. I've been reviewing her CDS spending that has been granted to Maine over the last 5 or 6 years. You can look it up, it's pretty interesting. But I think one of the things that we can do, I know Rich got, what, 4 million, 4.5 million?
4.1.
Last year. I don't think that precludes us from getting more. I know I'm working somewhat with the Mill Museum people, but we did put in a pretty big grant for the Penobscot Estuary Beneficial Trust on behalf of the Historical Society. And I'm trying to talk them into, they've made quite a few attempts at money, the King Foundation and amongst some others, Dead River, and they haven't really got it. I think there are quite a few historical properties across the state that have gotten money. So I think my advice to them is to repurpose that grant that was done. And I think one of the things, just trying to read through the tea leaves, I think if you put in a grant to connect those two properties, and also, you know, there's been talk a lot for raising that building and moving it towards Main Street a little bit. That was the grant at the Penobscot Estuary Trust. It was $800,000. But we didn't try to connect the walkway over to the building that they're working on, but I would think that would enhance that river walk between those two properties, especially if you could finally do something with the Historical Society building. And I don't know, most of the ones that I looked at, anywhere from size is one thing. If you go up there and ask for 150,000, they'll shoo you away. But if you go up there and ask for a couple $1 million, I saw quite a few of those grants that were towards historical properties, all kinds of different ones. And many of them were for downtown areas. So I think that might be something to do. I think the quicker you get it in there, they hear those twice a year. And generally, the way they work is you try to wrap them into an existing program. And there are out there for, in the federal government, for some historical properties. So whether that, you can buy that land from the railroad now, I know we talked about it years ago with Main Street Bucksport at the far end. I think the railroad still owns it. Is that
They do.
right, Rich?
Yep.
And so I think maybe that's something that could enhance the downtown. I know there was a lot of controversy on the Historical Society building. Should it be there on Main Street? But I
No.
don't see any practical way that you're gonna move it from where
Well,
it is.
I
And
mean-
it's still, I mean, we can't fill the properties we got now, so I think to worry that that's not a commercial property at this juncture seems a little premature to me. Versus having something where a walk connects two buildings that are sort of the same entity.
I'm just not sure they have the capacity, Ron, to take on more than they're doing.
Well, I think that's what, where the town and the groups have got to step in to try to help them along if they had a nice new building that
Is it
displayed a lot of
just
stuff.
that they want that building, or could they have moved into any other building?
Historical
Well,
societies can move in.
I think if you're gonna get a CDS grant, I'm gonna press
I'm even
them.
talking about the grant, I meant the concept of raising the building, because,
Well,
that house that was next to the building now by the, library, that was for sale many years ago. I had looked at if I wanted to redo it. It was so reasonable, and that building was large enough to house the whole historical, so everything they had in there. But it would have been right on Main Street, and it wouldn't have cost $800,000.
But the thing is, that building, there needs to be some resilience to that building. It's a historical building. To do with Bucksport, it was the train depot. It's not a bad building at all, and it's gotta be, you can't leave it where it is, because it's gonna flood, and what's in it's gonna go with it. It came pretty close, in one of those storms. It was lapping at
But-
the,
But the problem, Ron, was that when they were in here just a couple months ago or a few weeks ago, whatever the time frame was, they don't own the land, and so
Right,
going
you-
after the
the
grant
town owns
was
the land.
making it more difficult for them. And the two things that was displayed on the screen, I think at the time, was it was gonna be close to $500,000 done in two phases, 200 and something plus 200 and something to put a new foundation, move it and all that. And then there was another proposal that went back to 2019 that was for like $2.1 million with ADA compliant, putting shops down below instead of the antique fire department. I just did a quick read, and here's where I'm coming from overall. I just did a quick read as I was sitting here on these documents that Rich presented to us. 23% of the population in the state of Maine is me. They're seniors over 65. And that matches up pretty well with what we have here for taxpayers in the town of Bucksport. It's about 25% are seniors in the town of Bucksport. And when you go through and you read the report about the median income and so forth, and people that can't afford houses, when you're making decisions, are we coming into the council for next year, what are we gonna do? Are we just gonna spend and tax? I mean, the taxes went up as they did, and we'll talk to seniors and you'll see how they feel about it. But in addition to that, we've got the Silver Lake Dam coming up, we've got the Buckspill landfill, we've got the Village Partnership, $10 million, local share 10%, town dock replacement, $4.1 million for the year-round dock. We don't know what the status is on the Haltra chemical settlement status. We still have budget priorities. We're trying to stay cost neutral for benefit of taxes. Our rainy day fund is short right now. Back in 2018, it was up around 6.4 million. Now we're down to just over 2. And everything is big ticket, it's very sensitive, and that doesn't include new wages coming along, new police cars, new fire trucks, new dump trucks. Where's it coming from?
Right, but this is trying to get money to do this. It's not,
I know,
it's
but
not
I'm
asking the
back to, you
town to
can't
spend any
spend
money.
in tax, and until the,
But there's no spending in this if you get the, if you get
well,
the
there's a list
federal
of
money.
things that's gonna come up for next year.
No, what he's saying is, he's.
I'm
he's
not
talking about-
proposing that the town spend any money.
Yeah.
I'm
Right,
saying
but-
we've got our senator that's the head of the appropriations committee. She's already done a good job of pumping money into this state. Just go look at it. I mean, if you
Oh,
haven't
no, I'm
looked.
agreeing with you. I'm
And
agreeing with you.
so I'm saying to not jump on the bandwagon looks like a mistake to me, just because we just got some. We need to think of something that we could use money for. I mean, that's where Searsport got its money for that, mess that they did for 2 years.
Well, and I think Rich is,
It came from an appropriation.
sure, and I think Rich is giving some consideration to going that direction with the VPI. And I'd rather see that personally.
Right, I mean, that you certainly could do that, and I wouldn't be against that either. All I'm saying is, you don't wanna sit around and set some goals for a couple of months. The first go-round's in the spring, so you gotta work on it like now.
Yeah, when I got the 4.1 million, we started in December. Started all that work there, so, and then having, what elevated us and was able to get us into the spring session was the fact that 3 years prior, we had had all the work done, through GEI to have it shovel-ready.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if we have shovel-ready projects, if there are ideas like that, earmarks, or they're now known as congressional directed spending, Senator Collins will, we got the 4.1 million. And there's, just so that we're clear, that's 4.1 million from the federal government and my salary from the town. The town is not kicking in $4.1 million.
Right.
It's not kicking in $1 million. It's not kicking in,
Right,
it's 4.1 million is coming from the federal government, and that is it.
that's what all these grants are.
Yes, it's 100% paid.
And they're pretty varied, so it's really easy, just, I can't remember what you Googled to do it, but Senator Collins,
Senator
CDS
Collins,
spending. And it does it by year, you just go right through it, it's long, it's a lot of money.
I think it'll start on Main Street next year, or is that going, what's going on with that?
So that's what Mark was mentioning. So when we met with the DOT back in the summer, it was supposed to be Bucksport and another community to get a RAISE grant. The RAISE grant would have done the 80-10-10. The other community was not ready. So when the OT approached for the RAISE grant, it didn't fly.
So it's not gonna be done?
Nope.
Well, we don't know yet.
So in January, February, we're going to do the CDS through Senator Collins's office for that, the same project.
So you did have plans to go for one?
Yeah, we have a meeting with the DOT. We met in the late fall and scheduled a meeting for mid to late January, early February.
And the houses that were going to be built on Main Street and that lot, so that's still going to be going to, I thought he was going to, he had stated he was going to start something, but he hasn't really started anything there either.
27.
Just
27 million, yeah, that's not part of this program. I can take that up. That's not through a CDS or anything, that's through a different outside organization. So when statewide property management had some work done this summer for the surveys, and the person who was doing the work located I want to say it was a sewer line that was not depicted on any of the plans that the town had. Now, the sewer line actually went to the Federal Street apartment that Ron had that was taken down, because the properties were at 27 Main, and he had a fifth property at 18 Federal. Now, the most recent thing I heard was that they found another line that wasn't depicted, and it goes up to Buck Street. So right now, trying to figure out the who, what, where, why, and how of that pipe that runs straight through the middle of their property that was not disclosed, because when we had it surveyed, and I had the original person who did the survey back before I started here, send me over the written description and the original map, and it's not there. So right now, we're trying to get through that process, yes.
But those are things we're gonna bring up in the first part of the year too, that and the projects out of the industrial park that haven't occurred.
Yeah.
We'll bring those people in, talk to them, see what the plans are. Anything else to add to discuss for 2025 goal setting?
Do we want to be involved at all in anything what's going on with the dams on the lake? I mean, economic development,
I think we gotta let it,
it's really going to be affected by what happens on Silver Lake and on Moosic and everything. Even just the reports that we should be aware of.
Yep, so a couple of things. At Thursday's meeting, more information will be the public hearing that the town needs to host. Each town needs to host a public hearing, and if I remember correctly, if you don't, then you can't be part of the.
I think it's how you hold your place or something.
Yeah,
My
that's how you hold your
recollection.
place in there. If you want answers from if you wanna see the answers to the questions that were brought up at, the
That meeting.
event at Maine Maritime,
Right.
those were uploaded at least a week ago on bucksportmillanswers.com. The answers are what the answers are. I know there are answers there. You can continue to ask questions, but that may have recently passed.
Kind of non-answers.
See section 905 and 906 for your answer, please.
Yeah,
That's what it says.
Well, it says we'll do it in the Constitution.
essentially it is a public hearing. And that's a decision, then there'll be a decision if the city, or if the town wants to continue to be a player.
Do any plan, do it.
So the most recent update on that website does say that the second round of answers submitted prior to December 2nd will be posted no later than December 23rd at 11:59 p.m. And you can also find the presentation, if you haven't seen the presentation, is there, or you can watch the video online on the town's website. The RSU was, IT was able to upload it here. So to answer your question, I'm not sure that's
No,
why
I-
it wasn't on this agenda, because
I
that
just
meeting
meant
was
for
on
economic
Thursday.
development, the dam release plays a very important part.
And there'll be a time to talk about it. Anything, if nothing else, we can move on to item 5, discussion items not on the agenda for committee and public. We can start with the public.
I'm public out.
Okay, public's out. Committee, does anybody have anything not on the agenda?
I have a question. They have that new text messaging on the website. Is that active?
Supposed to be.
Well,
But we haven't posted anything, I don't think.
yeah, no, it's up there to
Yeah, it's
say
on the
if-
website, but I don't
Yeah.
think hasn't,
Been a reason.
I don't think they've got a test message yet or anything.
I haven't gotten anything, and I signed up right away.
yeah, I signed up today, I saw it as well.
Yeah,
and I
right,
wanted to-
so I'm just asking, evidently it's not active. Do we know when it's gonna become active?
I guess I don't know why it wouldn't be active.
There
Well-
just isn't a reason to.
What do you mean? We had a meeting tonight.
Yeah, it's not for.
I don't think
It's
we're
not
for
for
that.
that.
Okay, so what's it for then?
It's only for so if we had a major storm coming in and we had a shelter prepared somewhere, so
Oh,
let people know where.
I
that's
was
gonna
hoping,
happen.
because the way I read it to begin with was meetings.
No, it's if we have, again, a storm and everything, that a big event that is planned and things are
Okay,
getting
now I know,
canceled.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm good. I overthought it.
But are they in fact gonna do a test message so people can report back, you know, be in the paper the following week and say there was a test message, did you receive, or do we have any idea?
Yeah, exactly.
I will ask IT tomorrow morning.
I get it.
Anyone else?
Just to go back one, so discussion of goal setting, we're going to put that on the side, or,
I would say between now and the time we meet in February, have some ideas. We'll bring them all together in February. We'll create a list. And it could be anything from we want to hear from a representative from the school. So in the past, we've had someone from Aspire from the schools here and presented. There are things called land banks. If the committee would like to know what is a land bank, is that right for this town, I can set up and get people who are experts in the field to present to you. We've done economic development training where we had the video here. So anything that the committee would like to see in the new year, prepare that stuff, and in February, we'll set the goals and we'll attack them. What we've used for goals are plans, but like I said, they're about 7 and gonna be about 8 years old now.
Right.
Once the new year kicks around, are some of them still viable?
Or if there's anything else more pressing, like Ron was saying, email Rich and
Yeah.
get working it over the next couple months.
do we have the ability and, to contact, the, Ocean State Farms, about their plans, or we don't really get involved in that, you don't want to?
Whole
We
Ocean.
do with Whole Oceans, and, communication hasn't been a strong suit as of late.
Well, I know their website, which I tested the other day, if you try to send them an email on their website, which is very active, no, you can't. It goes through the whole process, but then it fails. And if you try to call a number, you can call a number that's listed there, and it goes to a voice message for a gentleman named Mark, and I didn't bother to leave a message.
You sound like me?
No, I thought maybe, I don't know,
Mysterious Mark.
but their website is up and running, but nothing's been updated in a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so their publication person, who was the longest employee from start to almost a year ago, is no longer their publications person, so it's my thought and belief that that went to her, and then she disseminated to others in the organization for the right people to respond, so, that is potentially why. I am not an IT person, but, yeah,
But the website is active.
it is.
Yep.
Anyone else?
I had a couple items.
Yep.
One, compliment Rich on a good job done in your interview with public radio.
Thank you.
The other, I was walking the boardwalk, with some guests we had from out of town, and they noticed down when we were going under the bridge, all the graffiti on the wall and some of them that less than desirable. I wonder if we can do anything about that. I know paint over it's gonna get painted, but if we repair the fence, it's gonna get cut again, but something that shows that we're being active.
You wanna take this one, or?
I just wanted to put a piece of that, is that we were talking about the camera, the council addressed the camera that under the bridge to help take care of that and get ahead of it, and the cost that we were originally presented with turned out to be much greater than the cost it turned out to be because of the possible locations that it could be mounted on, and a camera getting under the bridge is part of the list of things we have in this coming year's budget process. So that angle of it is very much so in the process and happening for us to talk about.
And to answer your question further, I have a dozen emails to the DOT where the response was, the person who handles this will be out within a week, and the DOT has not been very responsive to any message since that one. They have not returned any phone calls or emails. And we were at the point where we were gonna, it's not the town's property. I go in there and pick up the litter, or if Ron's around, he'll pick up the litter, or whoever's around, if we see litter, we'll take care of the litter. The spray paintings, all the green before, that's been the DOT coming down, but in the last 8 months, because it's, when the P. Diddy thing happened, that's when we noticed a lot more of it, you know, that was very recent, because that was in the news just 4 or 5 months ago. And then it's gotten, you're right, it's gotten worse and worse, and every time the fence gets fixed, then they climb over the top, get in top, and then they break in on the inside. But I have all the emails and continue to try to make it a priority for the DOT, but
Forward me the contact if we've been calling for that.
you got it. Thank you.
And my guess was gonna go buy a can of spray paint and spray it over it. I said, let me approach the town.
Yeah. Yeah, because we could easily roll over it with a paint roller and
Yeah.
get over it. We've tried to let the DOT do their job, but it's fallen on deaf ears and deaf emails.
Thank you.
Yes. I've got 2 things if the committee doesn't have anything else. One goes to the former Main Street program. So we were able, because the dues were paid for this year, maintain our level. And Sylvia Paquette from Maine Development Foundation reached out today and asked if the town would like to maintain a municipal level membership until Bucksport gets a group working on the downtown going again. And if so, they'll send the LOA for that level and invoice. And if we do go back to regaining an affiliate designation, there's gonna be a process. It'll be a collaborative one, but they'll be eager to work with us in 2025 for our goals for the downtown work. So that can probably be under our goal setting if the committee wants to maintain the municipal level membership. Now, what I will say is, before Main Street Bucksport was formed, Dave Mylan, my predecessor, had a municipal level membership, I believe it was in 2010. So the town had that level up until Main Street Bucksport was formed in 2014. And then we've been on the affiliate level, but now we can't maintain an affiliate level anymore because we don't have a Main Street group. So I leave it up to the committee if they want to get the municipal level membership. The fee for this is already budgeted, so it's not gonna have to go
You're
looking
looking for a
for it.
recommendation on that? today?
I'm looking for a recommendation for the committee to take up an item that's not on this agenda, and then for the committee to make a recommendation, because we still get grants and we still get work out of MDF.
And what's the cost to, the difference for the municipal?
She didn't give me that figure.
Okay, but you've already got it in the budget, probably at a higher amount.
Yes, because the affiliate level went up,
Yep.
so I would imagine it would be a lot less than an affiliate membership.
You need a motion.
Yeah.
Motion to take an
Motion,
item
second.
not on the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, take an item up, not on the agenda. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Do you wanna make that?
Yep. Motion to consider Rich's proposal.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Opposed?
Thank you. This will make transitioning back to a Main Street program a lot easier.
Yep.
And then the second item comes from the Age and Ability Friendly Committee. They're working on a project to have an emergency preparedness event. There is a grant involved, but it is a tight budget. We are trying to have speakers, food, and giveaway items that help in an emergency, like the light bulbs that stay charged and stay on when the power goes out. We may need additional funding, and we are wondering if the Economic Development Community Fund is the sort of fund that we could take up for consideration. There is no budget or anything else. I think before they did this, they wanted to know if it was something that the committee would consider.
So you're just looking for consideration, not an actual commitment? Because they're gonna
Yep.
bring us something more substantial than that.
Right. It says, is this something that may qualify for consideration?
Well, sure, since the community's 30%, yeah. More, probably.
Yeah, I can't say
Why
any
wouldn't
harm
it?
in.
I don't
That's a
know where.
Shouldn't
I'm
they
trying to
give
figure
us a
where else it
budget,
would
what
go.
they wanna
Like, I'm
do
not
with it, and
100, like, it
where
needs
they're
to
gonna
start
have
somewhere,
this
so it
and-
might as well start here. But I don't
It's
know
got-
exactly what line item it would come from in the end, but.
It would have- it
But I
would
mean, we
have
might
to
as well
be.
hear it. and
Yes.
It's
Then,
community.
Yes.
is that, you need more than that?
No, if, I can let her know that the committee would take it up for consideration.
With details?
Well, yes, that's one, a vote, yeah. I didn't wanna go off and say yes or no, because there's a couple ways to look at it. One, it's more of a community,
It's a community
right.
thing, right, but.
on the economic side, probably not so much,
Probably
but the
not.
name of the department is Community and Economic Development, and what we've funded so far are events.
Right.
So Main Street Bucksport, when Main Street Bucksport was doing, not everything was, you know, just s'mores lounge or things like that. They were educational components. There was the bike race,
Sure.
and bike night and walk your pet night, and, when Derek was there was the, cooking event, using the kitchen at the Elm Street Congregational Church, so it kind of fit into what they were doing, but I didn't wanna make a unilateral decision to have her fund, what the heck are you thinking? So, if you're okay with it, I will ask her to provide a budget and a list of what they plan to do.
That's a community
Well,
event.
that would make more sense, 'cause, I mean, I don't mind voting yes to consider, or at least if they gave us a concept of what their program is going to be and what they need, then we would vote yes or no.
Of the 20,000, how much has been awarded?
I knew you were gonna ask. I reached out to Rachel because we've had some monies turned back from each of the groups, when they didn't utilize it all. So I don't have that exact dollar figure, but I will email it out tomorrow. I was waiting on that answer. We had one event that money was given out, brought back, given out, brought back, so it's kind of,
Okay.
I'll have an exact figure for you tomorrow though.
Thanks.
So if there's nothing else, the next meeting would be February 10th, 2025 at 6 o'clock. Very good. One motion.
Make a motion to close the meeting. Adjournment.
Second.